And that's the thing. That's what we're most familiar with. Technology not working, right? So yeah, you know, once you get into the weeds of it all, that's when you find that it's not working. So anyways, I'll go ahead and open this fun little thing, just as a visual aid. It's not gonna go and fly and get anybody's hair, I promise, right? But I'll ask you guys, what do you see in my hand? What do you see? A drone? You can go ahead and hold it.
An annoying piece of noise that flies over my.
You can go ahead and hold that annoying piece of the noise. That's really fun.
That's what I see.
Well, you know what we see? A computer, right? We see a computer that is networked that may or may not have some possible vulnerabilities and problems.
It's a very light computer.
Yeah, very light computer.
Much
Yeah, that's
lighter
the
than
thing.
a laptop.
A lot of people forget, but those phones and laptops and all that kind of stuff, they're still just computers, right? At the end of the day, you gotta go. Right. So, I don't know if you guys have ever been over in the science building, as we've, you know, definitely found out by the other presentations. Most of the people in here are the history department, and that's fun. But over in the science building, there is a beautiful, beautiful room, mostly held by the Department of Geology, and they do a whole bunch of topographical maps and stuff like that. They'll even lend the drones to the police department for search and rescue type missions and stuff like that. And they do a lot of research on essentially this very interesting little area with a bunch of mountains and stuff like that. So of course they'll use these with LiDAR and see just how tall and short the mountains are, right? And as a cybersecurity major, right, I'm gonna walk by every single day and I think, that's a lot of computers in one place, right? That's a lot of computers. I don't know if you guys can see them all with the bright light. In fact, probably better if turn it off. Is that okay? Yeah. We just turn it off. Thank you. But we got a few of them back here. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, so we got a few of them back there. We got some on there, right? And we got this big hole with the wings. But you see, you guys are seeing all this stuff that flies in the sky. I'm saying, oh, that's probably talks over Wi-Fi, right? I'll open up my phone and I'll look up, and be like, yeah, that's some kind of Wi-Fi network from one of those, right? When they're flying them in the front of the science building. So one day I walk in and I say, hey, what do you guys actually do with these? And then they explain to me what I just explained. And I said, well, all I see is a bunch of computers. You mind if I try to hack these? Literally how it happened. And they said, okay, just so you know, I'm a student. How about I have you talk to our faculty mentor?
Yeah. They didn't want us to break any of their drones, obviously.
Yeah. They didn't want us to break any of their drones, but they wanted us to break into their drones. So we got to talk to a faculty mentor, and I'll let Wes tell you about that.
Yeah, so this is Dr. Chester Skip Watts. He's the person that was actually there when we first got there. He kind of explained what they actually do with it. You know, like he said, scanning the agriculture and of Radford. They have maps they've actually made, the 3D maps that they made using those LiDAR drones. It's much bigger than that one. It carries something probably about 10 pounds, so it's probably up to there. But we probably sat in their room for 2 hours messing with them. Of course, at first he did not want us to have an expensive drone like that. So he gave us, he did end up bringing over, but he gave us these small trainer drones to at least be able to prove our proof of concept.
Yeah, and he not only, of course, taught us the safety and how to fly with them and all that kind of stuff, but he even told us how they fly their missions, right? And what I mean by that is, if you're trying to survey all of Radford, something like that, you're not going to want anyone, not you, not anyone, even if you paid someone to do it, and try to say, okay, go 100 feet that way, okay, now turn exactly 90 degrees, and actually physically doing this with the controller. You're gonna, let something else do that, let some kind of computer do that, right? And now we're putting trust in the computer. Well, that's great for me, right? But before then, we have our full team. I will say our faculty mentor isn't able to be here, but we have a wireless communications expert. She is over in the IT department. She focuses on all types of things, Dr. Bajang Lee, with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, radio frequency, which drones use all three. So we have our entire team, and we just wanted to make sure that you guys saw the faces that aren't up here. Right? But he told us about this app. It's called Drone Blocks, and essentially what they do is they'll go in this, let's see, this loop type field, right? And they'll drag it down there, and they'll say, okay, repeat loops times, right? We see it says set loops to 4 or something like that, right? So now it repeats 4 times, right? Just some basic logic of how we're flying these missions. And you see, I don't know, set counter to 1, set loops to 4, blah, blah, blah. Yaw, and this is just a bit of drone speak, right? But I believe, I'm not in the geology department either, so yaw is going this way and up and down, right, in the sagittal plane, and then when you have the pitch, you have the horizontal plane, right? So you're telling it to do that, and you're trusting it to the computer, so that way, you know, that thing will go up and down fields, left and right, and you don't have to think about it. So I want to go to that. But again, where you guys see scheduled missions, and where you guys see drag and drop missions, we see drag and drop code.
And so that's kind of where I came in. I'm a senior, I'm about to graduate, but I'm in software engineering. I'm not in cybersecurity such as Sam. But I saw an interest here when I realized that these apps are actually they're using code in the back end, but that app actually shows you a couple of these. You can see drone.takeoff. It actually shows at the very beginning takeoff.
There.
In a moment we'll show you how we found, or obviously you can see the correlation there, but we'll show you in more depth how they use this in a more technical standpoint. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and say he's a software engineering major and also a senior. I am a cybersecurity major and I'm a sophomore. I don't know how to code. I'm terrible at this stuff. I just pretend. Right, I'm just the mouthpiece, just the storyteller. These guys are great people who do the actual work. But with a little bit of research, now we have our team, right? Now we have the Drone Blocks app, and we know how they're doing this normally. We're exploring just how a normal user would act. Well, now here's where we can start doing a little bit of weird stuff. You saw that drone.takeoff function, right? Drone.takeoff, it looked a little weird. It's like, where do we get that from? If you can just write takeoff, of course that's not spinning the motors directly, so that's someone else's code reaching out. Well, let's go find those predefined functions and that's someone else's code and find what else we can do, right? If I can make it take off, where's my land function, all that kind of stuff. Enter the Tello SDK, the software development kit, right? This is specifically designed for you to make your own app and tell the Tello to do whatever you want it to do, right? And for a developer, software developer trying to make something new and fun with these drones, well, that's great. Now he has a place to reference. But as a hacker, well, that's great. I now have a place to reference and I know exactly how to take these things down. On the next one. This is just publicly available, right? It's just more of applying it in a creative way. Now we can do things like sending commands and receiving responses, and now this is in my wheelhouse, right? Now this is looking a little bit more like that Windows computer over there, right? And it's not so arbitrary anymore. It's just Wi-Fi, right? We want to send something to this specific IP address that's essentially just where it is in the namespace of the computer world, right? Okay, we want to send it to this IP address, send it to this place on this IP address, right? And this part is covered. We can do all of that. And if we can represent that as code, we can now send commands and receive responses. And now, the fun part. All those predefined functions that we could do. Now, even just sending in a predefined function that it can already do is easy enough, right? Now, an eventual goal would be to break out of these predefined functions and do whatever we want, which we're getting there. But does anybody notice anything that kind of stands out as far as these predefined functions that the drones can do? Just shout it out, it's fine.
Something that you wouldn't want the normal user to be able to do while they're flying.
If you were flying your drone, what's the worst command I could run here if I take it over? Anyone? Stop motors. Emergency. Quit. Yeah, that one's not too, it's not too fun. And by the way, there's plenty of other things that you can do. It's just a small snippet out of it.
But yeah, so now that we have the team, we have the code, we have the drones from collaborating with Radford, we were actually able to apply everything together, and it took a lot of late nights. I will tell you, there were many times when we were in Curie and we were able to use the resources that Radford did give us, but we were able to use it to our advantage, and we finally got our proof of concept after, I don't even know how long. A while.
I think it was like 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's
just press space bar.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay, it's fine. Technology not working is normal for me. Alright, it's right there. Maybe use the mouse. Press present before we come back. Come on. Yeah. So just to set the scene for you, right? Doing all our CS projects and blah blah blah, but every once in a while we say, hey, you want to meet up and do the drone stuff? You know, it's like 8 p.m. and then we just stay in Curie just over the night. Some poor soul gave us swipe access to that building, so now we're just in there all the time. That was their fault. That was their fault. So now that I live there, they're not gonna pry me out. When everybody leaves their dorms and stuff like that, is okay. No, I'm not leaving my apartment because I'm already gonna be in Curie. Anyways, would it work? Here, let me help you. I gotcha. We're gonna press present. Yeah, next time just do it in the app. The website sucks. That's nice and fun. Anyways, we'll just go ahead and try one more time. Don't we love technology? It's just so fun. Okay.
We're just gonna play it in the window.
Yeah, we're just playing in this window. Anyways, let me just make sure that everything is right on the sound. Cool. Can you guys hear that? Try the sound up. Anyways, this is 1 a.m. and we are all in the atrium and we say, okay, we can make it go up, and we give it a scheduled mission of just making it go up. And we say, all right, let's see if it works. We wait a few seconds, make it turn to make sure it's still getting on everything. And then from there, we completely kill the motors, right? There it is.
Can you come to my house and do that, by the way?
Yes, actually. Yeah, so it was great. And we were like, yeah, it's all great. I wish you guys could hear this video, but yeah, we're showing, all right, yeah, we wrote the code to do this, and we wrote a scheduled mission that does exactly that, right? But the mission is still scheduled. We're still just giving it commands to run. Well, we want to be a little bit more flashy, right? We want to be able to do it in real time. So that's where, you can go ahead to the next one. That's where the birth of Drone Commander comes in, which again, we're still computer science and very not creative, so we're not going to make good names of things. But long story short, what Drone Commander actually does, and this code will be publicly available soon for you to use for educational purposes. So yeah, but this code essentially says, hey, let's connect to the drone and to completely block the other person out, the actual user, and now we can send commands live. It's no longer a list of commands of saying, all right, take off, turn left, fall out of the sky. We can actively type, take off, turn left, now I want to turn right, now I want to go forward 100 inches or something like that. And that's what Drone Commander does. It's a bit more flashy, a bit more Hollywood hacker, if you say. And here's actually a live presentation of us doing that. This one isn't a video, and I'm glad to, because our videos aren't working as well as we thought. But we did a live presentation of this at the Winter Cards celebration in December. Are you guys at that? Oh, it's totally fun. But yeah, we had our little hacker hoodies. But basically here we had our victim, right? And they were looking at looking through, and they were just using the drone normally, and then we had our takeover machine, where we actively just pressed a button, and it would go left or go up or fall out of the sky. So fun. Take this.
So since then, since we were able to have our proof of concept, we were actually given a better drone, which has harder to hack software in it. So it's taken some time, but it's not impossible. No, it's not. But it is more secure. In the future, we were thinking about going into reverse engineering the drone, kind of SDK stuff, but they don't have the SDK available for this type of drone because they don't want you to do what we did to the last one, of course. But it is more complex, and it is definitely more expensive. You know, if you're a recreational user, you might have it for $1,000. It's not cheap. But some of these bigger companies, we presented yesterday, and things like Amazon, people are using, trying to deliver pizzas.
So what if you order a pizza and I'm hungry?
Yeah.
Right?
Or if you're a competitor and you want to say, actually, I want to be able to deliver by drones. Let me just take that. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on a much larger scale, well, what if you're a military trying to drone strike me and, you know, I want to stay alive for a few more days, right? Or a little bit smaller, but a lot more ubiquitous. You are a police ward or some sort of municipal security at some level, which do use drones, and you're trying to do some sort of manhunt, and instead of, you know, the old-fashioned flashlights everywhere, you decide to get smart and put a drone in the air. But I have a smart friend who says, I'm gonna turn that around and look in the other area, right? There are so many bigger applications than just making a drone fall down on a pillow because you don't want to owe the school money, right? There's so much more huge
Becoming
things.
more relevant.
Mm-hmm. There's even agriculture implications of which, you know, in the old days, again, you'd be out in the yard and all that kind of stuff, trying to make sure that all your plants are watered, have all your pesticides out there and all that stuff, right? Well, in these days, you just send a drone to do it and have a scheduled mission, right? But if I don't want your company to make money, or if I don't want your country to eat in times of war, well, you can say goodbye to your crops, right? All because your drones weren't secure, right? So it's not just these small trainer drones or these commercial drones, but it does beg a larger conversation to have to do.
Yeah, because they're becoming more relevant, the sky is the limit. Much, but yeah. We have one more. We have a special thanks to the Office of Undergraduate Research, the Department of Information Technology, of course, Department of Geology for the drones, definitely, and family and friends for not getting tired of us rambling about drones.
Yeah. And the Department of History for listening.
Of course.
So yes, now I know that was a lot of information thrown at you guys, but do you guys have any questions?
So is there really not a drone hacking problem yet? I guess I would have thought that by now.
There's an
there
everything
would
hacking
be.
problem. It's just
Okay.
it's more of a when will you find out,
Okay.
right? You know, because I don't know. Let's see an analogy. Oh, okay, well, pretty relevant. There were some people, you know, in 2020, 2021, who did have and will never find out that they had COVID-19. They were asymptomatic, right? They were completely asymptomatic, even though the virus got into their system, maybe didn't give them any symptoms or anything, but they gave it to somebody else, and that person was vulnerable enough to have symptoms, right? All right, well, let's think of this in cyber terms. I write a virus, or some bad guy writes a virus, and they get into your system. They stay there for 5 years, right? And that's more cybersecurity, geopolitics type stuff, which of course we can talk about later if you'd like, especially being in the history department, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, there are hackers who do stay in systems for 5, maybe even 7 years, and they lay dormant, or they just watch what's going on. They just watch and they listen and they report, right? So it's less of, you know, did we catch them yet, or can it happen? Because if it could happen, there are people who you will literally never find. You will never see them because they cover their tracks, right? They cover their tracks really well. You will never even know that they were there. And so yes, that drone hacking problem, if I can do it, if he can do it, if we can do it, it's already there, even if there's been even if there's never been any news stories that say, oh my God, drones can be hacked, it's already. That's kind of how cyber is, right? So, yeah, it's already. I mean, I can't tell you to prove that your phone isn't being hacked right now. I can't tell you to prove that your smartwatch is being hacked. You know, I could even try to inspect it. I could miss something. Even an actual professional with an actual degree could try to look at it, and there might be something they missed just because there's 10, 24 ways to skin a cat with these things. So, if this is possible, it's already being hacked. It's already happened.
That's why our proof of concept is so relevant. It shows that even drones that were used I don't know when they came out, but
they have future models of these, and they have those SDKs public, of course. So it's always going to be an issue.
But it only took us 2 weeks. So
yeah.
I think if we didn't have
the rest of the year was fun stuff on that one, and also making more pretty documentation. So yeah, because we could sit here and take you through code for 30 minutes, but we figured that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
It's not even fun for us, so why would we why would we subject you? So yeah, no, we just wanted to show the flashes. But yeah, any other questions?
I don't know if I have the right language for this, but is the main issue for hacking in the Wi-Fi, or is it there's encryption within the drone itself too to break in? Or does it depend on the level of drone you have?
It does depend on the level of the drone you have, the manufacturer, and blah blah blah, right? But the ones that we attacked, and also this one too, we're focusing more on the scope of Wi-Fi. Well, we were for the past year, and now we're focusing on other scopes. But yes, there was Wi-Fi, right? And so we first have to look at passive communications, basically saying, hi, I'm a controller, right? Because now that we've observed that communication or something like that, now we can write code that pretends and says, hi, I'm a controller, can I have this information, right? So, you kind of move a little bit further off of just watching those passive communications, right? Then you have encryption on top of it, which is actually where we've been moving, and we decided not to include this just because it may have been a bit too technical for general audiences and all that kind of stuff, but we actually have developed a parser in which you have all of this encrypted information, and you can't necessarily decrypt it just yet, or we can't. We'll probably do some working with other people and actual experts in this to do that. But we have rearranged the information based on inferences that we've made from stuff we've seen before, and in a way that would make it easier to decrypt and even extrapolate information from, right? Because it came in a weird kind of it was a weird format that it came in, and we're now able to format it in a way that looks intelligible, right? Now it's actually more making it intelligible. I'll say this, right? A language, do you know Spanish? I don't know, right? Whether you know Spanish or French or something like that, you don't know the actual target language, but you might be able to recognize a few of the words, right? You do see the periods and commas, right? So what we did is we made sure that everything's out into paragraphs. And now we can send it to somebody and they can read those paragraphs rather than just having a whole jumbled mess of round sentences and stuff like that. And also even sentences that may repeat or phrases that may repeat, right? That's gonna be where we try to hit first. So yes, there is encryption that we still haven't broken or anything like that, but we're getting close.
So I know that you mentioned like the steps that you're getting ready to take. So I know you're graduating. So are there plans to further this research in either grad school or here at Radford for the rest of your time here?
I mean, I think Sam might.
Yeah.
It's a conversation we've had yet, but
yeah. So I'll just say yes. As I just said, we mostly looked at Wi-Fi, which of course is just more wireless. So that's just passively watching what already happens, right? And we have done some active stuff where we said, hey, what happens if this? Oh, they kicked us out, right? But that reverse engineering keyword up there that we mentioned, reverse engineering, instead of just passively looking at Wi-Fi and scanning and trying to recreate predefined connections and all that kind of stuff, reverse engineering is going to be physically plugging in this drone and essentially combing through the software that makes this drone does what it basically, right? Makes this drone do what it does. So from that, then you can start to piece together a puzzle of more high level of what the code does. And again, this does require a bit more of in-depth knowledge, which we now have, right? A year ago we didn't, which we now have, so that's where we're more moving towards. And from piecing that together from assembly, probably to C, probably whatever target language it was, and it's going to require a good bit of effort too, because we have to make sure that we have a low-level architecture covered of understanding exactly what kind of architecture these are. It's not going to run the same stuff as your standard Windows computer, because that's much bigger. It can handle different stuff, has different processing, or it's probably still going to be bigger than your average phone or something like that. So it's going to be something probably weird and obscure. This is DJI, a Chinese company, which means that not all the firmware or variables even are going to be written. It's not going to say takeoff. It's going to say something that I can understand. It's going to say something you can understand.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hungarian.
Exactly, it's going to be Hungarian, right? So now you have to make sure that you do it. You have to look in a general enough way that you're not just looking for English words, right? And now with that weird architecture, non-English words, building it up from different coding languages that we're probably not used to. Now we're more equipped to do that than we were in the last year. And of course, probably bringing in a few more people that are way smarter than us. So yeah.
So basically, reverse engineering will be somewhat taking this code here where it says drone.takeoff, that takeoff, and you wouldn't just be able to put that, write that in the code and then know what that means. So reverse engineering will be taking apart that method, the instructions of takeoff, and it's like tying like way to describe it. It's like when you make a sandwich and you have to put that. You don't know it's a sandwich until you say there's a piece of bread, there's meat, there's cheese, and then there's lettuce, and then there's another piece of bread on top.
Exactly. You don't call that meat, cheese, bread, lettuce, bread, all that kind of stuff, bacon, whatever you want. You call it a sandwich, right? That's what that's doing. We don't call it make motor spin one time, make motor spin 2 times, and then also make all 4 of them do that simultaneously and make this light blink. We call it takeoff, right? So now that's going to be taking that closer look at, peeling apart each of these methods, and that is painstaking.
And do you guys have people still at Radford that are gonna still be here to be able to carry that on? I only ask because I know that 2 or 3 of my people are leaving, and I have to start every couple of years I have to start all over again with digital archives. Is it gonna be the same for you guys?
That's me, I'm a sophomore.
So in 3 years?
I'll be learning this stuff. But
Bring
yeah.
other people in before you get to that.
Yeah.
If that's something that's gonna continue,
Oh,
because that's the
definitely.
problem.
I'm actually
we have all the time.
I'm teaching a class of reverse engineering to Meg, and I don't know what So yeah. So yeah, no, we're training people and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where you get more into, okay, we looked at Wi-Fi, now let's look at hardware, which trust me, hardware is harder than Wi-Fi. It has hard name for a reason. Okay. So yeah, but that's where the future of this is going, right? And of course, probably reaching out to people who have experience in hardware and stuff like that. Maybe some of the tech, maybe some more section conferences. Any other questions?
I'm just wondering, how do you grapple with possible ethical implications with, because you can show proof of concept, but then if someone steals my pizza delivery, I'm not going to be cool with that. But I would be happy if a Ukrainian brings down a Russian drone with it.
How do you deal with the ethical of us posting that code online? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because it could be used for
Yes.
good or not so good.
I'll just
It's
say.
probably a programmer's dilemma.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll just say there's a million of those things, and that's a whole different ballgame of ethics. But there's a lot of exploits online. You could even just look up latest cybersecurity exploits right now on your phone, and there would be there's a big one that came out for Windows today. Probably you guys know, right? But there's a big one that came out for Windows. There's one that came out for Azure, cloud environment type stuff, which a lot of companies run on and stuff like that. And they came out just yesterday, right? And that code is publicly available. And there's always that cat and mouse of what do you do? Because here's the thing: if we hold this code up and we don't ever show it to anyone, how are the good guys going to see things? And of course, I think people have actually done similar things to this. We just didn't know until halfway through. Hey, this looks like a worse version of Drone Commander. We did it better than right. But anyways,
It shows the good guys what to look for and how to fix it.
Right, exactly.
So that's
Right.
kind of where our head was at with this research.
It's like when you deliberately have someone try to hack your system.
Right.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I do as a job, right? People literally say, hey, we want you to hack this, write a report on it, and then give it to us so we can improve. And I'll give an analogy I gave yesterday at our presentation. You know, if you don't want someone to get into a room, what do you do? To like this room, what do you do? You lock the doors, right? Which means you need a lock. That is a form of security. But do lockpicks exist? Yes, they do. Hi, I'm one of them, right? So, exactly, lockpicks exist. There are lockpicking tools and stuff like that that good guys use. Locksmiths have them. Ethical hackers have them to prove that proof of concept, right? People have those lockpicks, and they're able to get into that with skill and tools, right? This is providing the tools, right? Because if you can't read code, this is useless to you. If you can, when you're a bad guy, all right, fine. But now, you need a better lock, right? Let's say a bad guy gets in, you need a better lock. You need to make sure that you're keeping up on the most recent update of security, which is why we update our phones, our computers, our laptops, our drones, right? Our coffee makers, anyways, right? That's why we have those updates. So now you've updated your lock to where it can't be hit with a skeleton key or a specific type of lockpick attack, but then the lockpicks get smarter. And they do something else, and they have cameras that can see the inside of your lock, and special, there's literally even special like slime you can put in a lock to get the feel out of it. They can even trick the human and trick them into copying their key or getting their key, right? And all that kind of stuff. So it's always gonna be this tug of war between the bad guys and the good guys. But without sharing this information, it would actually be worse ethically for us not to give you this information. So it's hard, you're right, but that's cybersecurity. Anything else? It's fine. That was a great question. Well, thank you very much. Again, thank you to all the departments that we mentioned, Office of Undergraduate Research, and everyone that was able to help us on this endeavor, and also you for listening. So with that, hope you have, I think this has actually been student engagement forum, right? This last day, everybody's doing so smart.
Well, there's other things going on, like First Fruit Fridays.
Right.